Yes, hello. Today, look, we've got Legends All-Star banner. It is Gohan Revive and Nappa with his mouth beams. Piccolo dies. All right, that was a spoiler. Anyways, let's just cue the intro.
Welcome to my channel, where cringy intros are cringy.
Okay, so we are here. I'm saying redundant things. Let's just get into it. Should you pull on this banner? Realistically, if you're a fan of Saiyan Saga, if you want to make a Saiyan Saga team, if you like Frieza Force or something of that nature, you could consider this. If you are a regen main, you could consider this. Sun Family, you could consider this. My only issue with this banner is that the rates are garbage. And I'm not kidding you. It's actual garbage. So basically what happened here is they decided, how can we make it even harder for you to potentially pull the unit you want? Well, let's lower the sparking rate by increasing the sparking pool. And that's not a good thing. We don't like that. Whenever they do that, that means that the chances of you pulling a particular unit that you're looking for just goes down tremendously. On the upside, whenever you get a featured animation, you're more than likely guaranteed to get a newer unit or a unit that you didn't have before. So to give you guys an example, let's not go there just yet. We go to the featured characters. You'll see that there are only a total of, I think, 4 or 5 featured characters. I think it's 4, but I can't see those dots very well. So here's one, here's the second, here's the third, here's the fourth, here's the fifth. Yeah, so there's 5. So because there's 5 total featured actual characters, any featured animation will guarantee you one of those 5. So in that essence, that's really good. However, the downside is this. So if we go to the Z power list, 1%, and then all of a sudden we have 0.100%. And the reason for that is because by doing that, they were able to put more sparkings in the entirety of this banner, which means that the likelihood of you pulling something new, not likely without the help of a special animation. And the reason why I know that this is what happened is because the Topo and Caulifla banner is still out, and I can just show you guys real quick what goes on with that particular banner. But as you can see, it finally here, that's where the EX is. And also the EXs haven't been touched in terms of rates. So same can be said to the heroes. And then over here, as you guys can see, it is, if we just go all the way up for the guaranteed sparking, 1%, and then they've increased these to 1.225%. All right, so if we were to compare this just real quick right now and go to the Z power list, you'll see 1%, but then you'll see 0.500%. And if I go down just a little bit, we're already at the EXC. That didn't take much. It shows the same amount of percentage as you did in the other banner. And if we were to look over here, 6.125%, and then 1%, 1%. Okay? So as you can see, they've increased how many sparkings they've had, and as a result, they've had to change up the how they decided to do the rates. But one thing I like to note, the more sparkings you have in a banner, the worse your rates. Just inherently. It's not rocket science, and as a result, this is really upsetting. So realistically, do I think you should spend on this banner, especially since Black Friday is going to be out in November? And if you're saving a lot of CC like myself, you're not really interested in spending it. Well, no, I don't think this banner is really worth it. I think that when it comes to Frieza Force, maybe Nappa is actually really good. I can't really say anything. I don't play Frieza Force, but I feel like you guys have enough good blue units that Nappa, you can pick him up later down the line. You don't need him immediately. And then regen, I still don't see a reason to really run this kid, just due to the fact that Majin Buu exists. So unless this kid shows me and shows the meta that he can defeat even Zenkais, I don't see it. On Sun Family, I mean, maybe. But even then, the fact that the green Super Saiyajin 3 Zenkai 7 Goku exists, even though he doesn't buff Sun Fam, he just buffs Saiyans, it just makes it really hard for me to see how this kid can really function in those teams. He really feels like a Saiyan Saga unit, which is good, because my worry was hybrids, and I'm sure there will be hybrid players that will run this kid regardless, because since he buffs Sunfam, and the majority, actually, let's be real, pretty much every unit that you pick on, particularly hybrids, is a Sunfam unit, means that he's buffing everyone, and by proxy, they're buffing him. So he can still function on a hybrids team as long as you're not running Trunks. Like, and even then, it still works. It's just not perfect synergy since Trunks is not Sunfam. So overall, like, hybrids get a new green. Even if he doesn't buff hybrids specifically, it doesn't really matter. And here's the funny thing. The fact that this guy's like buffing regen is only because Piccolo is an assist unit. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason why. I would definitely say overall, let's see if they're worth it. Personally, I think you can wait, but if you really want these characters, you can go for it. If you're a hybrids main, you got to decide, do you value more revive or do you value a little bit more tank? That's really what you got to decide. I can't make that decision for you realistically, and I know over time these units will become a little bit more relevant. Whenever a new unit is released, nothing is immediately relevant, so just keep that in mind. Although they can be, and when that happens, it's insane because that means that the unit is essentially busted and is going to be sticking around for a long time. When a unit needs time to become really good, usually that just means that its kit is what keeps it alive, but that's it. So, for example, a unit that like just broke the game, or not necessarily broke the game, but is immediately great just out the bat, is like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan Revive, or Vegito Blue when he first came out. Those two are great examples of units that as soon as they came out, people saw how crazy they were, and that's it, right? Whereas units that needed time to really build up and become what it is something like Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, the yellow one. He was great upon arrival, but wasn't like groundbreaking, and people weren't necessarily thinking of him as like top tier. They were thinking of him as more as like he's a solid unit, a solid core unit, very good, but there were still debates about Yellow Vegito and him, right? At that time. Now it's a no-brainer. You pick him. The only exception to that is like maybe Majub, like between those two at this point. Or another one that, you know, that's become amazing over time, but was just solid when he first came out was the Super Saiyan Gohan, the yellow one, the LF. So, yeah, there you go. So, I like to look at these units from like current meta standpoint, and the green Gohan scares me a little bit. The Nappa is solid, but I don't think he is insane. So, but we're gonna take a look and we'll see. So let's just take a look real quick. So, let's see. He's at 3 stars. He has solid blast. He's got solid strike. Realistically, kit matters more than stats, but overall his stats are respectable, and he will be doing some damage, just not necessarily amazing. So realistically, you want him at 6, so he is actually solid. Once he transforms, however, his damage does go up, but his defenses go down. And again, realistically, that doesn't actually matter. And the reason for that is by the time that you've broken him once, he's still an extra body on the board. And on top of that, if you're making less mistakes than your opponent, then his defenses don't matter anyways. If in the situation that you're making too many mistakes and your opponent's is catching you, well, it won't really matter if you have high defenses or not realistically by that point, because at that point you are making enough mistakes for them to capitalize on you as it is. So at that point, defenses don't matter. So when people are like, the defenses are down, it doesn't matter realistically. It really only matters in the first stat, and once he's dead and transforms, you just want to be laying it on your opponent. All right, but let's take a look at his arts, because I did cover this in my last video, but I'm going to cover it more in depth. So in terms of his abilities, I mean, blue card's fine. The green card is nice. It is actually a solid card, especially if you can trigger that before he dies and transforms, because this is just going to give you the ability to have a blue card in your hand that could be actually really, really relevant. It can catch your opponent off guard, especially if they sidestep or if they try to tap attack or blast attack you, or you could keep that in your hand for another unit that you need with a blue card. So, for example, if you're running this guy, let's say on hybrids, then in that case, you're going to be looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, if I'm running the purple Gohan and the yellow Gohan, then in that case, maybe I would like to give this to my yellow or alternatively to my purple and just go from there. Alternatively, you could hold on to these green cards for specifically your purple. So it's nice that there's like a loop, essentially, what you can do and how you can throw this around. All right, let's take a look at this. We draw a blast card, restore ki by 50, 40% to blast damage. Okay, that's not bad. And then let's go to the unique abilities. So revive when 40% health when own health reaches 0. So if own health reaches 0 due to enemy's self-destruct attack, the character will not revive. So this is another thing that's really important. If your opponent is using a self-destruct ability, this guy doesn't revive at all. Which I think is hilarious, honestly. Because it just means that if this kid becomes very prevalent, then in Android teams, we could definitely see the rise of Android 16 again. I'm not sure how much I would say that's a definitive thing, but you could definitely say that if he does become a big menace, then more self-destruct based teams, or at least units, could appear at the very minimum. Alternatively, just units that counter revive units would be more or less likely. But again, this all depends on how good this kid is once he's actually in the game and in the meta. All right, so then let's take a look at the next stuff. Applies the following effects to self when this character enters battlefield. Restores ki by 30, 40% to damage inflicted, cannot be stacked. Applies until enemy combo is finished. And then shortens ally substitution count by 2 after enemy attack is over, activates twice. That's not bad, actually. Because this this passive actually can really synergize extremely well with both the yellow Gohan and the purple Gohan. In fact, it also synergizes well with the blue Gohan and the red Gohan. So it really makes me feel like this is actually the green unit to pick for hybrids at higher stars than your EXs or your other SPs. They've really gone above and beyond for this particular unit just to give it synergy to the point where I honestly don't see a reason not to run this on hybrids. On every team that it's supposed to be on, except for maybe Saiyan Saga, it feels underwhelming. But on specifically hybrids, and Saiyan Saga specifically, those two, this is actually a fantastic unit. So, whatever. Let's keep going. All right, so Master and Pupil Duo. So, this has a cover change. So, against a Strike Guards card, you can cover change it, and you'll just knock them back to long range, but there is no, like, chain ability, nothing of that sort. So, it's just literally just reset to neutral and go from there. That's what it looks like. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can chain it. No. All right, so then the following effects occur from battle start until this character revives. Increase damage by 50%, reduces own damage by 30%, and then 50% to damage inflicted by allied character Piccolo cannot be cancelled. So, in the situation where you're pairing this up with the LF Piccolo, so this is the one situation where it's kind of interesting that it buffs regen, is if you're running a full-on like Piccolo team with this kid, then in that case, regen could actually use him. But I don't think it's relevant enough for that 50%. When just the first two from before he revives are more than enough. In fact, you could have just removed that last line and it wouldn't have mattered. It really wouldn't have. The only situation where that actually matters is on a regen team, which is very Piccolo based. Like that is a way to play, but there are better units to run. I mean, except for the yellow Piccolo, the only option between those two is like DKP, and that's depending on like, are you strike or blast based? Or what is your play style? What is your variance that you enjoy? Do you enjoy like quick RRs or do you enjoy being hard to catch? Like that sort of thing. But overall, like before revival, this kid looks more like the tank that he's supposed to be. And then once he dies, he's supposed to go all out. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. All right, so let's take a look after revival. So we got First, he restores his own health by 10%. He can reduce damage by 30%, and he destroys all your enemies' cards, and it only takes 5 timer counts for that to activate. So that's really good, actually. Before we go back, let's go back to here. So now he gets a long-range blue card, which basically increases his damage. Yeah, that's it. And then we got a green card that restores ki, increases damage, and also gets an arch card draw speed up by 1 level for 10 timer counts. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. I can't really say much about that. Let's take a look at here. So, upon revival, he restores ki by 100. He increases damage. So, basically, it's kind of like he just resets the amount of damage that he normally had, but it's now with the new stats. So, that's cool. Plus 60% damage inflicted for 30 timer counts cannot be canceled as well. So, that's nice. And then inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 3% of the damage received for 30 timer counts. This is actually really good. The increase in his own stats don't matter as much as the ability to inflict an attribute downgrade, because this, on top of whatever buffs you give to your characters as per usual, is phenomenal. This is what's going to actually make a unit squishy. So if the enemy cannot receive that attribute downgrade, that is going to be an issue. Otherwise, this is actually a really good skill, and not much to say. I mean, it's pretty simple, but the nice thing is that because it inflicts your enemy with the attribute downgrade ability, this means that you can actually push harder than what you normally could in just general stat boosts. So this is actually nice. All right, manifested potential. So the following effects occur when this character enters battlefield. Stores zone ki by 30, inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 15% of the damage received. So, okay, that's really good. And then inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 5 to strike and blast arts cost for 15 timer counts. Okay, wait. So upon revival, 30 timer counts. This is stackable then. Okay. All right. That's really good. That's really good. Not much to say other than in something like a low star hybrid Saiyan team, this is a phenomenal unit to actually have, and it will definitely steal games where it shouldn't. So the fact that this unit has what it has is scary. But anyways, let's take a look at top stats just real quick before we move on to Nappa and go from there. So he revives. He recovers special move gauge. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Plus 90% to damage, minus 10% to damage received. And then also cover change and restores health. And that's it. And then is it the same thing? It looks like it is the exact same thing. Yeah. Overall, in terms of his ability to boost in top, he's okay. He's not like anything special, but he is solid. I can definitely say over time, we'll see if he's actually amazing or not, but just based off of that alone, anything that can recover special move gauge fast is a good unit. Anything that can trigger them really fast, great unit. So overall, fine. All right, let's take a look at Nappa real quick. Nappa's a pretty basic character in regards to what he's supposed to do, but I think that this unit will see longevity over the course of time because he reminds me a little bit of Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta in terms of his nullification for cover change, so you'll see in a moment. All right, so let's take a look at the blue card just real quick. So he destroys all his Strike Arts cards and then basically does more damage depending on how many you destroyed, so that's pretty cool. And then his green card restores ki, draws 2 new cards when you have 3 or fewer, and then inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 20% to damage received for 20 timer counts. This is actually a really good card, and because it gives you back ki, this is actually just really, really good. It helps you continue combos. I don't see a downside to this. There is literally no downside. This is actually a really, really good card. I mean, realistically, Arts card draw speed would be nice, but you know, speak of the devil. So we get to draw a blue card, restore health, key up, and increase Arts card draw speed by 1 level for timer counts. So if you pair that with your your green card, this guy goes insane. He goes nuts. This guy actually can become a combo master. The problem is you do need 20 timer counts for this to pass, but if you are able to do that and you understand this guy's kit, you can essentially just mess your opponent up, and there is literally nothing they can do unless they're running a unit that breaks cards. And this is what I was saying back in the day. I don't know if how many of you were watching me at the time, and I don't even remember the video specifically anymore. But I do remember in one video and one stream, I talked about this, about how the future is changing from just cover changes and neutrality cover changes to specifically card breaking. And the reason for it are units like this, Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, Zenkai 7 Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and things like that. So the fact that this unit exists in this manner is exactly why. All right, so let's take a look at what he does, because he does quite a bit for someone that only has 2 passives. So first off, he increases his damage by 80%. He also reduces damage by 30%. These cannot be canceled, and as a result, they are always there. They're always applied. Then he applies the following effects to self when this character enters the battlefield. So he draws a Strike Arts card next. So this is really remnant to how the Super Saiyan 3 Zenkai 7 Purple Goku plays. He just draws a Strike Cards next as soon as he enters the battlefield, so he can continue combos. He is a striker, a pivot, and a finisher. That's a really good thing to be. However, I wouldn't call him a pivot as much, and the only reason for that is because of the next couple of passives that you'll see in a moment. So changes Blast Arts card into Strike Arts cards. That's really solid. Reduces damage received by 20% for 5 timer counts. Okay. Not as relevant, but I mean, I guess it can be, so we'll see. Applies buff effect, nullifies enemy special actions that activate when changing cover for 15 timer counts. Activates 3 times. That is really good. There's nothing to say about that other than you better hope you've got Vados, or you have Angel Vegeta, or even, I dare say, the movie Vegeta, the purple movie Vegeta with Goku assist. So, or alternatively, the LF Gohan, which if you're running that kid, the yellow one, then that should be good enough. But as you guys can see, this guy is, that first passive alone is just amazing. Let's take a look at Furious Attack and just see how it goes. So applies the following effects to self every time this character draws a Strike or Blast Arts card. So he restores his own health. That's solid. And then he increases damage to his Strike for 15 timer counts by 20%. He reminds me of frickin' Kefla, but going insane. Like, he's actually going insane. So if you do let 20 timer counts pass, and you have your main ability active, and then you go into them, there's literally nothing your opponent can do. If they don't have a card-breaking cover change unit, they are screwed. This is actually insane. The only other way to stop this guy is to wall him with a green unit. That's it. And even then, he's looking like he could be like the next Kefla when it comes to how insane his damage output increases. Again, this will be seen over time, but the fact that he's a blue unit means that you can Zenkai buff him too. So, right out the gate, I'm going to go on a hunch and say that Nappa, in terms of kit and in terms of how he plays, is definitely going to see stronger presence in the meta immediately, but Gohan down the line will probably maybe overtake him, or they're going to even out. And I think that's just really due to the fact of how Nappa has been designed. Nappa's been designed extremely well. So there's that to be said. Whereas Gohan's kit is a little bit more like trying to figure out how they don't break him. So that's why I was wondering, why did they even give him a revive in the first place? But whatever. All right, so he also has a Vegito Blue-like effect, where if you face a battle-style support or defense-type enemy, you can inflict all enemies with 1 substitution count up, and you also can apply attribute upgrade minus 50% to enemy sustained damage cut effects to self for 15 timer counts. This is actually not bad. It's not great. It's not the most amazing thing, essentially. But when it comes down to the substitution count, that alone makes up for everything. So that's really good. But yeah, there you go. And then let's take a look at the top stats before we finish it up. So increased damage, decreased damage. He has a blue card that increases based upon how many opponents there is. So that's not that great, though. And then start of battle, if there's a battle support type or defense type, multi-target. Restores 10% of damage received. Okay, inflicts enemy. Okay, that's actually not bad. And then, okay, that's not bad. His top stat, like his second passive, is not bad actually. It's pretty solid. His first one, it's okay. That's pretty much it. His special move gauge should have been at least 30% to increase. 10% is like nothing and it's useless. So there you go. I mean, it's not useless, but it's not great. Anyways, guys, so that's pretty much it. Overall, like I said, I don't think that going into these banners immediately is worth it. I think if you just wait for these units to come back, that would be more than enough. Obviously, if you're playing tournaments specifically, then you're going to want every unit if you're doing LBR tournaments. So in that case, just pick up everything. If you're a collector, don't worry about this. This is more of analysis for meta goers. And then in regards to people that are whales, well, you just go have fun. So with that being said, guys, that's the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to tickle the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe and click on the bell for more notifications so you never miss another one of my videos. Have yourselves a salty day, and I will see you in the next video.
Thanks for stopping by. Hope you had a time, Phil G. Phil G.